So this is where we left off in the last video. The two balls could collide with each other and roll on the plane. In this video we'll add some logic to our game through code. So to create a script, right-click in the project window, select Create, then C# script. Again you can name it whatever you want. For now I'll name it Movement. Double-click on it to open it up in Visual Studio. If you haven't installed Visual Studio, you can download it from the link given in description. You can download any version you want and then just simply install it. So back to the code. This is what you'll see when you open your script. To explain it in the simplest way, whatever code you write in the start function will run only once each time the game starts, and the code written in update function gets called every frame in the game. So to demonstrate it, let's just print something. To do that, I'll write this line of code that will simply say start function is called. So save the script by Ctrl+S and head over to Unity. Now drag and drop your script to any object in the game. Here in the inspector window, you can see that our script is added to this ball. So now if you hit play, you can see our sentences printed in the console window. Now if you move this line of code in the update function and hit play, you can see our code is being called once every frame. This was a simple demonstration of how these two functions work. Of course you can add your own functions in the script, but we won't be diving that deep in this video. Now let's do something with our balls. To do that, first we have to declare an object, or in simple language, we'll make a bucket and write some code that'll do something with whatever that is stored in that bucket. So to make a bucket we'll write this line of code. Here public means we should be able to see our bucket in Unity. Game object is the type of thing that our bucket is going to store, and ball is simply the name of our bucket. You can name your bucket whatever you want. So to demonstrate this, I'll write this line of code in the start function. That's gonna destroy whatever is stored in the bucket when the game starts. But for now our bucket is empty, so select the object that has the script attached. Then drag and drop whatever game object you want in the bucket. I'll put this another ball in the bucket. So when you hit play button, you can see the ball that was in the bucket was destroyed. Now instead of destroying our ball, let's add some velocity to it. To do this, first, we'll change the type of our bucket to rigid body. It's the component of any object that works with the physical features of any object. For example, mass, velocity and gravity, etc. Now in the start function I'll write this line of code that'll simply access the rigid body component of our ball when the game start. You'll learn to write code gradually in the process of making games, so don't stress out if you can't understand anything. Now in the update function, I'll write this line of code that's gonna add some velocity to our ball each frame. You can tell what the code does just by looking at it. First it takes whatever is present in the bucket and sets its velocity to in the x-axis, 0 in y, and 0 in z-axis. Let's save the script. We ran into an error, my bad. I've developed a habit of naming rigid bodies as RB. Now it should work perfectly fine. Let's head into Unity, place our ball in the bucket. You can see our ball has some velocity now. Quick tip, to focus on any object just select it, and hit F. Let's change the direction of velocity to z-axis so the ball moves in the forward direction. If your ball starts to move backward, add a minus sign before the value. So now you can see our ball moves forward, but we want the camera to move with the ball. Just like in third-person games, first I'll make the plane a bit bigger so we have enough space to move. The easiest way to make the camera follow our player is by making the camera a child of our player. But there's a problem with that. When the ball starts to roll on the plane, our camera starts to roll too. So instead of this, we'll use another method to follow our player, and that is by creating a separate script for our camera. So create a script, name it whatever, and open it up. I've provided a link in the description to the exact code that we'll need here. You can simply copy and paste it. But I'll explain what it does. First, here we have two buckets of different types. One is going to store the transformed values of our player, or you can say address of our player in scene. The second bucket will store values of a 3D vector, so we can tell the camera how far it has to stay from the player in each axis. Here's a written explanation of code too. So just save the script and head over to Unity. Simply drag and drop this script on camera. Now you might crash in this error when dragging this script on your camera. To solve this, just watch a 50-second video showed in the I button. After adding the script to camera, you don't need the camera to be a child of that player anymore. Just drag and drop it out from the ball. Now as you can see, the camera has two empty buckets. Drop the ball in the player bucket and hit play. Now the camera isn't rotating when the ball starts to roll on the plane, but we're seeing the game from a first-person view as the distance of camera from the player is set to 0, on each axis. While the game is running, just mess around with these three values and see where it looks good. Now remember those three values, as when you exit game mode the values will go back to 0 because you can't save your game while playing it. So I'll put whatever values that I found were the best in my case. And now when you hit play, you can see it is working perfectly fine. In the next video we'll learn how to control our player with our keyboard.
Let's go!